Board for a roll call. Can you hit Newman's? All right.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go through and try to do the bills in an orderly sort of fashion this morning. First, we're going to take up JLARC studies. Hal, I see that you are here. Senator Lucas has SJ 7, and Senator Spruill has SJ 29. Both of those are asking JLARC to perform function. I think, Hal, if you want to come up, the determination has been made that by the members of JLARC that the studies are set for the next 2 years, and so it's not appropriate for us to send y'all additional studies at this point. So I'm going to ask for a motion to pass these by indefinitely, but I would like you, I know y'all keep a running list of possible items to put forward for future studies, and ask that you put both of these on the list so that at least the members of the JLARC Executive Committee can look at them in the future when making determinations going forward.
Mr. Chairman, Hal Greer, Members Committee from JLARC. Yes, we are currently having studies selected by the JLARC Subcommittee on Studies, as you say, and we'll be glad to put these studies on a list to be considered by the subcommittee.
Okay, Senator Norman moves, Senator Hanger seconds that we pass by indefinitely SJR 7 and, or not SJR, SJ 7 and SJ 29, and that the commission will put those on the list to be considered in the future.
Chairman, it appears the patron would like that hers to be stricken, so I would move that we strike hers from the document.
Madam Clerk, did you get that? She talked to me yesterday. She didn't use. Okay. She did not articulate that verbally yesterday, so maybe we could just PBI just because of that. I think I'd feel a little more comfortable.
Okay.
Motion is to pass those two by. All in favor, please. We get to voice vote all except, I think, 2 bills before us today. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, and those are PBI'd. Actually, we have some additional bills for JLARC. Senator Edwards, are you here? You're SJ 30. Senator Sturdivant, are you here? SJ 56, SJ 57. So, Senator Edwards, you heard our articulation. These are all JLARC studies. Mr. Greer will put those on the list, but we're not moving any new additional studies to JLARC. Unless
what this does is would ask JLARC to study free community colleges. This is one of the biggest problems in the Commonwealth, the cost of higher education. This takes not all higher education, but only the community college system, which is we can get a handle on. There are other states such as Tennessee and Oregon that
Senator
actually have
Edwards,
free community colleges.
I am going to cut you off. The point is that there's no capacity for JLARC the next 2 years. So if you have some
15-minute dissertation on this, you mean I can't get
and that's great, and I'm sure there's some people out in the hallway who would love to hear about those. So Senator Norman moves, Senator Hanger seconds that we PBI SJR 30, SJR 56, and SJR 57, and put those on, and the commission will put those on the list for consideration in the future. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
I think it's important for everybody to understand the members up here don't necessarily disagree with these resolutions. It's just that JLARC only has so much capacity, and they're already backlogged for 2 years on studies.
Senator Spruill, thank you for being here. I don't know if you just heard what we told Senator Edwards, but their capacity for JLARC is not there this year, but we'll put it on the list to be considered when capacity does arise. Senator Edwards has a 40-minute speech, so the two of you can talk to each other and take up the next hour. Thank you. Senator Servell. Okay, Senator Deeds. SJ 49, SJ 54.
SJ 54, you can strike. Mr. Chair.
That's,
So I'd move to strike, or I'd ask you to strike SJ 54, please.
the motion is that SJ 54 be stricken. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. That is stricken.
There are four other bills, Mr. Chair.
Well, we're going to deal with 49,
Okay.
SJ 49.
49, the issue there is that
Well, I also got a letter from the Joint Commission on Health indicating that they did not have the capacity to do any additional at this point as well. So is somebody from the commission here? Yes.
Thank you. It's not so much that we don't have the capacity. We are just changing our process such that it looks like the crime commissions and JLARCs, and that our members will be able to be the individuals ultimately deciding which studies we do. So our request is to send a letter, and then our members will.
So what we're going to do, Senator Deeds, is we're going to PBI the resolution, and just like what we articulated with JLARC to Mr. Greer, we'll send a letter saying this was add this to the list to be considered by the executive committee in determining the future studies. Does that sound good?
that's all right.
All right, Senator Norman moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SJ 49 be PBI'd, and we will send a letter to request that the commission add it to the list for the executive committee to consider in the future. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and that is agreed to. Senator Deeds, you're standing up there. We got SJ 53 to the Housing Commission.
SJ 53 arose from some concerns of constituents who were trying to build onto their houses for smaller units for their older parents. And they were trying to essentially undo a zoning, get around the zoning in, I think, Albemarle County. And my concern is instead of putting a bill in asking for us to override that zoning, I think with our aging population.
The good news for you is we got a letter from the Housing Commission saying that they do have capacity, and their members would be very interested in this topic.
Okay.
So some good, some bad, right?
Right.
So Senator Norman moves, Senator Hanger seconds that we recommend reporting SJ 53. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and that is reported.
I've got a couple others if you'd like me to go ahead.
We're doing these in all the bills we have before us today, or resolutions seem to formulate into a particular sort of block. And so we're trying to take up those blocks as we go forward. So the next block is you have before you, which is on pages 4 to 6 of your blue sheets, are the joint subcommittee and commission block. So we have Senator Newman's SB 738, Senator Black's SJ 13. We have Senator Edwards, SJ 14, Senator Cosgrove's SJ 40, Senator Newman's SJ 59, and Senator Norman's SJ 75. In our conversation with the House, they have indicated that they're going to agree to one Senate and one House version. So I think they've called theirs down to one that they're recommending come to us. We've not yet received it, but that was the indication we've received as we go forward. So these are joint subcommittees. So Senator Newman, you're first on the list. We'll let everybody make their pitch of why theirs should be the most important one, and then we'll make a decision from there.
Mr. Chairman, this one is actually to set up a commission. The brief review of this is that for 28 years, I think, as I've been on an education committee, we've always been able to deal with the short term, but very rarely the long term in public education. We spend about $6 billion on it and don't get to look at what we're doing very often. The desire is that we would set up a commission that would allow us on this massive amount of money to not only look at what's in the budget, but also set up some type of metric on what we've been doing for many years and haven't looked at it. And my hope is that this one will come out of the House. I know that Senator Delegate Landis is pushing the same idea, and I'm hopeful that it'll be successful. I really want to.
Well, this one is where, as the clerk just reminded me, this one is a little different than the other SJs that we have in this block. So let's do this one separately, and then we'll pick one from the other list of SJs. So Senator Newman, if this were to go forward, it would need the contingency clause, because Senator Hanger and Senator Norman will jump me if it does not have the contingency clause on it.
It needs the clause, and we're talking to Sarah about that, sir.
It would need the clause, and Madam Clerk, is the membership on this equal between the House and Senate?
Not yet.
So if it's not, Senator Norman would move, Senator Hanger would second, that the membership, that there would be 6 members of the House Committee on Education and 6 members of the Senate. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. That motion's agreed to. So the Senator Newman moves and Senator Hanger seconds that we add the appropriations contingency clause to SB 738. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and that motion's agreed to, and the clause is added. Senator Norman, Senator Hanger, now that we've added the clause and the membership is correct, would you like it to go to the Finance Committee? I think y'all have one additional meeting. Is that the?
We're meeting on Monday.
Okay, so the Senator Newman moves, Senator Norman seconds, that SB 738 as amended be reported and referred to the Committee on Finance. And because this is a bill, it does require a vote. So clerk, open the roll. Have all the members voted? Does any member desire to change their vote? Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 13, noes 0.
Ayes 13, noes 0. That is reported. All right, Senator Black, see you, the SJ 13, come on up and make your pitch. After Senator Black, we'll have Senator Edwards and Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. SJ 13 would ask that we study the unintended consequences of the proffer bill that was passed 2 years ago. We have had sort of a screeching halt to much construction in Northern Virginia, and that was the reason for putting it in. Now, we do have a hearing that will be held by local government, and so we will have some opportunity there to discuss the matter.
Okay, well, Senator Black, as I just articulated, of the number that we're going to hear from, we're going to move one forward. So yours is focused on a particular region of the Commonwealth, so it's likely that we're going to, the one we move forward might have a little wider impact.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Senator, well, we're not voting on that yet. We're just hearing, but if you do have a question, we want to hear from the other members about why they think theirs is the one that should move forward, and then we'll have a recommendation on one, and then I'll ask for a motion to PBI the others that we don't move forward.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to remind you, we have, in the local government committee, have created a, right before reconvene, a committee of the local government to take up the proffer issue. We have lovingly named it the Proffer Party. So if these you would feel might be better served by having a full hearing in our committee, we'd be glad to have them.
Okay. All right, Senator Edwards, SJ 14.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, SJ 14 is a study of alternative models for dealing with people who are deemed to be a danger to themselves or others. in the mental health community. Currently, only a law enforcement officer or a magistrate issuing an order can take into custody somebody who is needs to be in emergency custody or temporary detention because of their mental health condition. What this would do would study an alternative model that some other states now have, and that is a mental health professional could do this. Other states like Florida, for example, they call it the Baker Act, has a program like this, as I understand. And so basically what it does is say, is there an alternative way that doesn't put as much burden on the law enforcement community to take somebody who's a danger to themselves or others and who needs emergency or temporary custody because of their mental health condition? That's what it does.
Okay, thank you, Senator Edwards. And Senator Edwards, I know Senator Deeds has a commission that has been in existence for a number of years, looking at a number of topics, and I think this one might be kind of appropriately in that arena as well.
I agree.
Okay. So, Senator Cosgrove? Yes, sir. You want to make your pitch for SJ 40?
SJ 40, sir. Yes, sir.
This, just to remind you, we're taking hearing on all these requests for joint subcommittees.
Right.
And then we're going to move one of them forward.
Yes, sir.
Tell us why yours should be the one.
Well, just because it's a really cool bill. Mr. Chairman, basically, this is a 13-member joint committee made up of members of the Senate Committee on Education and Health and the House Committee on Education. The committee would basically study how we look at aerospace in the Commonwealth of Virginia, aerospace and aviation, and work with industry leaders to decide what are the best ways to provide recommendations for changes to laws that will ease certification of teachers of K-12 aviation and aerospace courses when those teachers have qualifications in other professional organizations. It also seeks out interview representatives from aerospace and engineering and aviation industries. Mr. Chairman, I worked with the Virginia Academy of Science, Engineering, and Math for 2 years to look at how we do aviation and aerospace in the Commonwealth. In the Commonwealth right now, we have Wallops Island for aerospace, but we're also vastly improving and expanding our unmanned aerial vehicle research and development. And this would go a long ways in trying to help that industry. That's the pitch, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Cosgrove. Senator Newman, you have SJ 59.
Mr. Chairman, I think I can make this easy. I'll win or lose the lottery on the other one, but I think that this bill.
You won't have to pay it back if you win.
I think this bill and also the what is the dyslexia, and also on page 7, the Senate Joint Resolution 62 can be rolled together, and the subject matter, a PBI, the subject matter go to the future of education, and if that makes it, it makes it those subject matters could go there.
It's SJ 59, and what was the other?
It's the next page, which is
62. Members, look on page 7, SJ 62. Senator Newman moves that SJ 62 and SJ 59 be rolled together, and we'll take that in one motion. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. So those are together. And Senator Newman, you can be a chief co-patron with yourself. And move that, Senator Newman moves that bill, that resolution now be PBI'd with a letter sent to the commission to asking them to review the topics. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign, and that's agreed to. Senator Norman, SJ 75.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think all of these resolutions, Senator Newman, Black, Edwards, and Cosgrove, certainly have a lot of merit. Senator Howell and I, for the last several years, have had the privilege of serving on the Ethics Council, and one thing that has come to our conspicuous attention is that we really need to have a comprehensive review of the ethics laws which have either evolved or devolved over the last couple of years. Historically, when we first enacted it, we did it on the last day of the session in a rather rushed and less than thoughtful approach, and there have been a lot of nuances that have manifested themselves in the current ethics law. And I really think that we need a comprehensive review of it because it is something that doesn't just impact the 140 legislators in the General Assembly. It impacts many, many people because it affects local government and various boards. And so I just say I think it's fairly important.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Howe.
thank you. As the other Senate member of the Ethics Commission, I want to tell you also that this is a very important two-year study. Every member of the Ethics Commission now supports redoing what we did in such a hurried way a few years ago. We're spending our time splitting hairs, and that's intellectually fun when you're on the commission. But for the hundreds of public servants, it just leads them to possible mistakes, even when they're trying to do the right thing. And this definitely needs to go forward.
Okay, hearing a bipartisan motion from Senator Norment moving that we recommend reporting SJ 75 and Senator Howell seconding that. Does any other member of the committee have a discussion for what that being the one resolution we move forward? Hearing none, all in favor of recommending reporting SJR 75, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. And that is reported. So Senator Cosgrove, Senator Edwards, and Senator Black will do. We can, well, let's do this individually. Senator Black, Senator Hanger will move, and Senator Stanley will second that we recommending PBI SJR 13, but we'll send a letter to the proffer party, to the subcommittee of local government who's going to review that issue. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Senator Hanger?
Mr. Chairman, as you move to SJ 14, Senator Edwards is actually different. It doesn't establish a new joint subcommittee. It just directs an activity of the existing Mental Health Commission, which I serve on, and I think it's a good idea. We could either pass the resolution or just PBI it and by letter request that the commission study the subject.
I think that's the best way. Let's,
Okay,
Senator Hanger moves, Senator Norman seconds that we PBI SJ 14 and send a letter to the existing mental health subcommittee. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. That's agreed to. And Senator Cosgrove, we understand that aerospace is vitally important to the economy of the Commonwealth, but I just don't think we can move that forward. Senator Newman.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is important as well. It's important to two at least very big regions of the Commonwealth. I would like to see the subject matter of this go to the Lottery Now, Future Public Education. It's exactly the type of thing that we could look at on a long-term basis. So while the motion may be to PBI, I would hope that if we establish that the subject matter will go there.
Okay. Senator Newman recommends, moves that Senator Norman seconds that we recommend PBI in SJR 40, and we'll send a letter to the Future on Education to include the educational component in their analysis. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign, and that is agreed to. Senator Donovan, you have somewhere to be. How long will yours, you have one, two? If you have two, that means it's going to take two. How long will you take?
Not long.
Okay. If you take less than 5 minutes, we'll take you now.
633, Auditor of Public Accounts, Commonwealth Data Point. We have a very transparent system that reports salaries of state employees. It does not, however, report
Page
bonuses.
16 on your blue sheet.
Thank you. It does not report bonuses that are distributed, and this is just a clarification of that. And we've talked with the Auditor of Public Accounts and have worked through any questions they have, but it allows us to take note of bonuses.
Members have heard the articulation from Senator Donovan on SB 13. Does any member have any questions? Is anybody here to speak for or in favor of SB 633?
Mr. Chairman, I move to report it has no fiscal impact.
The motion is that the SB 633 be reported. Members will vote on electronic voting board. So all members had the opportunity to vote. Any member wish to change their vote, clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. That bill is reported. Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Bill 782 has an amendment in the form of a substitute.
Senator Norman moves, Senator Hanger seconds that we adopt the amendment in the nature of a substitute. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The substitute is before us. Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, may I have a copy of it? This is really something that's come to me from my constituents. The James River is a very important part of our tourism and our economic development, and we are still working to overcome the historic CSO system that we have in Richmond, as well as in Lynchburg and Alexandria, and we've had a lot of conversations about that. I think that sparked some concern with my constituents, and this is just an opportunity for us to make sure that we're up to date on how things are going. The substitute essentially requests that the State Water Control Board summarize the reports from those cities that are working to overcome their CSOs so that we can know how progress is going and at what rate they are progressing. Some of them have much longer windows to resolve the problem than others, and we just want to make sure this is moving forward and that we have, make sure the legislature knows we've made an investment in these, make sure we know where they are.
All right, does any member have any questions for Senator Donovan? Does anybody in the public wish to speak for or against the substitute to SB 782? Hearing none, is a motion? Senator Hanger moves, Senator Newman seconds that SB 782 in the nature of substitute be reported. All in favor of that motion, please vote on your electronic voting board. Any member wish to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. That's reported. Thank you, Senator
Mr. Chairman and committee.
Senator Serval, you're next. We'll take up SJ 28 first. This is recommendation to the Crime Commission. I don't know if you were here earlier when we talked about JLARC and the other commissions, but at this point, we are not sending any new bills directly to the Crime Commission, but we're happy to send them a letter and ask them to add this on the list for the executive committee to review for their next work study plan to see if it's something they can fit into their work list.
I've spoken with the Crime Commission. They have some interest in looking at this, but that process is fine with me.
Okay. Senator Norman moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SJ 28 be PBI'd in a letter sent to the Crime Commission asking them to add this to their list that will be considered for the future. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. That is PBI'd. Senator Serval, you have SJ number 4 on page 22 of your sheet. We're also in the same group going to take up SJ 15, SJ 16, SJ 41, and SJ 73. So, but we're going to let you go first, Senator Serval.
Thank you.
Senator Serval, I think you brought this bill last year, if I recall correctly, before this committee. And based on the research that we've done, there's an archivist of a federal archivist of the United States, David Fierro, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, appointed by President Obama, and he has opined that this amendment is not properly before the states. It's not one of the 4 amendments that Virginia or any other state can consider at this time. He has classified it as a failed amendment. So as you know, this committee has had a long-standing policy, at least since I've been around, that we do not memorialize Congress, and that's why we're going to take up a number of other bills going forward. So whether the idea is valid or not valid, supported or not supported is not the issue for the committee. We just don't tell Congress what to do in that particular direction, thus memorializing them so that we can focus on the business that we can actually take care of here in Virginia. I do think that it is properly before members of the Congress, Senator Kane, Senator Warner, and I guess for you, it would be Congressman Connolly, is that correct?
Byer.
Congressman Byer would be the appropriate individuals to look at this. So I am happy for you to present us anything, and I don't know that the case law has changed, and certainly we looked into it, letters dating back to I believe it was 94, from Attorney General saying that this was not properly before the legislature in Virginia. So do you have anything to the contrary?
Sure. So a couple things. Number one is the state of Nevada ratified the Equal Rights Amendment last year.
Do we live in Nevada?
No, not
Okay.
that I checked, but
so do you have anything different?
I have an Attorney General's opinion from 2015, which I didn't bring with me, or Attorney General Herring opined that he thinks it's viable. It's probably about a 12-page opinion. I'm happy to provide it to you later. I don't have it with me right now, but I believe what he said was that there's a long-standing history in the country of, first of all, the Constitution doesn't require any ratification deadline to be in any amendment, and most amendments didn't contain that until probably about 1920 or so. And so the idea that an amendment has to have it, or the Constitution requires it, or that it somehow necessitates it, isn't really valid, number one. Number two, Congress can always adopt an act retroactively, recognizing ratifications that occurred after the ratification deadline. So some people believe that can happen. Also, this state has ratified many amendments well after the ratification deadline. For example, I think it was the 20th Amendment that gave women the right to vote wasn't ratified by this state until about 40 years after it was adopted. I think we were the 48th or 49th state to ratify it well after the other states had ratified it. So I think the ratification issue is one that is sort of in flux. And again, I have an Attorney General's opinion which says that simply because it hasn't happened yet doesn't matter.
Senator Saslaw.
Seems to me, I could be wrong, I don't think I am, a few years ago, Congress, finally the states ratified one that had been out there apparently for more than a century,
right,
dealing with congressional compensation.
Right.
I mean, it had been out in the
We're going to go through the chair, and certainly Senator Saslaw has the ability to speak. Senator Saslaw, the research that we did, I think that Senator Servell is correct that they do not have to have timeframes, but if some of them do have timeframes, we are not in control of what the federal government does, the Congress making determinations. When we did check with the archivists of the United States, they indicated that there are 4 amendments that are properly before us. They also indicated that some amendments, as you accurately said, do have timeframes and do not. We don't have any control or determination over that. They indicated to us that the Congressional Apportion Amendment, the Titles of Nobility Amendment, the Corwin Amendment, and the Child Labor Amendment are the 4 amendments that are still properly before the Commonwealth and other states. So that's where it is. So I'm certainly sympathetic to the issue coming forward, but if it's not properly before, we're not going to memorialize Congress, and it's not a question of on the issue, but we're going to have 5 or 6 other pieces of legislation that attempt to also memorial Congress that we're going to take up here shortly.
Got it.
Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Recognizing that it's not properly before us, I would like to recognize some efforts that went on this year. Specifically, I received probably in the range of about 250 postcards that had this cute young lady on the front of it there, and I'd like for her to stand. I've got a whole collection of cards from her. And while it's not properly before us, I really do appreciate your effort in fighting for a cause you believe in. Thank you.
Senator Serval.
I would just say two more things, Mr. Chairman. Number one is I don't think the U.S. Archivist or the Library of Congress or whatever decides what the law is or isn't. I think the U.S. Supreme Court decides that. So, but beyond that, the other thing I just want to say is I think just if we could ask anybody who's here who supports this to stand
Absolutely.
up.
Well, all the individuals are here to support. Please stand up. Thank y'all for being here and to express your support for this issue. Thank you. Well,
Thank you.
all
That's all
the, if there's anybody here that is not in favor of the amendment, would you please stand as well? People who were support, please sit down. Is there anybody here not in favor of the amendment? Please stand. Thank you for being here. All right. Senator Marsden, I assume you're not standing up in this group.
I raised my hand.
Yes. All right. Senator Serval, we're going to take up the other bills in this block, so, and then I'll come back to you for the remaining of those. Senator Black, you have in this group, you have SJ 15,
Mr.
SJ
Chairman.
16, and SJ 73. Senator Howell.
I'm somewhat troubled that we didn't get to vote on the previous one.
We're going to vote on all of them. Senator, please keep your comments to yourself while we're going through the process. We are going to vote. We're going to hear from Senator Black and Senator Cosgrove, and then we're going to have a vote. Okay. Senator Black,
Thank you, Mr.
SJ
Chairman.
15, SJ 16, and SJ 73 are all things that are to commending a foreign government or foreign action, and that is similar in nature to what we have not done historically with this committee of memorializing Congress or a foreign government. And so give you the same opportunity we gave Senator Serval to tell us how you think that that is not the case.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, we have tremendous concentration of people of both.
Sir Black, it's not on whether it's a good idea or not a good idea, but whether it goes against the policy that this committee has had of being involved in memorializing Congress or memorializing on a international policy direction.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, the 15 and 16 really address citizens of my particular district who have a great interest in the Independence Day of India and Pakistan because of their heritage. It is not commending the government of those countries, but simply recognizing that there was independence on those days, and it's a matter that they take a great interest in. And so I think that falls in a bit of a different category because of the fact that it does just simply affect a great number of people in my district. The SJ 73 is frankly very personal to me because it was really the first time I took a very intense interest in foreign policy when the Hungarians rose up against the Soviet Union, and so I consider that very personal because the fantastic heroism of those people as they were finally brutalized and brought down. There is no longer a Soviet government, so it's not as though there is any counter-government. There's simply a free Hungarian government. And I can remember as a small boy just watching every single day and just being mesmerized by the heroism of little boys and little girls who would go out and throw Molotov cocktails at Soviet tanks. And so, in a sense, I suppose maybe it's a bit for me. So,
Black, we're not, again, it's not the substance or the validity of the efforts that were done by any in those individual communities, but we just historically have made the decision that we're not going to be involved in foreign affairs from the General Assembly, and so we've not moved forward resolutions of this nature, particularly ones that are presented to the ambassadors of other nations. So we very much understand the personal nature of this to you, but we're not going to move these forward, okay?
I would appreciate if anyone would move them forward, but thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Cosgrove, you're the last one. Briefly, yours is very direct. It encourages the Federal Aviation Administration to do something, and we just haven't moved those forward at all. So understanding it's the importance of it, so.
Thanks.
All right, so in this blue block of bills, there's SJ 73, SJ 41, SJ 16, SJ 15, and SJ 4, and a motion is appropriate at this time. Senator Norman.
I would move to pass. The motion I would make is to pass them by indefinitely, sir.
The motion is to pass by all the bills in that
Mr.
block.
Chairman.
Senator Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to take SJ 4 out of the block.
Okay. The motion that we'll vote on initially is SJ 15, SJ 16, SJ 41, and SJ 73 be PBI'd because of the nature of memorializing Congress or a foreign government. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. That motion is agreed to. SJ 4, the motion is to recommend PBIing because of the nature of memorializing Congress. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign.
No.
So the motion is agreed to. There's no. For the members of the audience who are requesting, as you've heard through all these, if there are a bill, which is a SB, then they are recorded. If there are SJs, then by the rules longstanding of the Senate, those are not recorded votes. So moving to the next group of bills.
This is not right. It's not right. This is wrong.
The next bill, Senator Hanger, SB 234.
This is wrong. We're not audience members.
Late.
We pay your bill. We are your.
Late. Senator Hanger, if you could please present your bill, SB 234.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This is ridiculous.
SB 234 it concerns the Advisory Council on autism. Mr. Chairman, this would be a routine extension of this currently existing council. The only question I have is Senator Stewart has a bill to do a very similar thing, and I wanted to ask
Mr. Chairman, I think it'd be easier if we had a recorded vote.
Mr. Chairman, I serve as chairman of the current existing council, which we want to continue. I was wanting to ask Senator Stewart if he'd be interested in rolling his in and perhaps serving on that. And if you wanted to tweak it as far as the membership, we could do that as well.
Mr. Chairman, that's fine. The bill that I put in for the Commission on Autism actually would allow a bunch of professionals to serve on that commission, which I think is really important. I even had contact from one of the departments at George Washington University, and they've got one of the premier programs in the country on autism, and they had interest in it. What my goal was to bring these professionals in, people who actually understand autism and know how to give us recommendations and look at training for the judiciary, training for prosecutors, training for teachers and others. And so if I can accomplish that, I'm happy to do it that way.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I would ask that, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that Senator Stewart's bill, Senate Bill 337, be rolled into Senate Bill 234, and Senator Stewart be listed as the chief co-patron. And with the understanding, we're going to work out some of the details to include the membership that he wants to include.
I second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Hanger. The motion is that SB 337 be rolled into SB 234. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Senator Hanger,
Mr. Chairman, I would then move that those combined bills be reported.
so we do have some other business that we have to proceed. We are. The huh? Yeah, we'll show that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Want me
request that?
just have a recording phone, but not simply pressing that for a vote. We can show the hands, but we do have to.
Why don't you show that, have a show of hands?
I will if you let us get to the. If members of the audience, if y'all would allow us to be able to continue forward with the committee meeting, then we would be able to take up the issues that are important to you, not just that one. But if we are not able to actually proceed forward with members being able to talk, then we will have to have the room cleared. But we don't want.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr.
Mr. Chairman.
Ma'am, if the audience will be quiet so you could speak. So, ma'am, if you could hold on for one second. We do have a motion on another bill that's before us. As soon as we're done with that, we will come back to this one, and I will allow you to speak. Okay, thank you. That's what we were trying to articulate. So, Senator Hanger,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move that the substitute that we're creating with rolling Senate Bill 337 into Senate Bill 234 be reported.
So the motion is that 337 we've already rolled that into 234. The motion is that be recorded. Because this is a bill, the clerk will open the roll. All members voted. Any member, he's not here. Any member required to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. That is approved. So going back, ma'am, I can't see you. I'm sorry. Come on up. Tell us who you are.
I've long been a member of the League of Women Voters, and now I'm on the Women's Rights Task Force of the League of Women Voters. But I've been working on this issue for about 40 years. Senator McDougal and all the members, the honorable members of the committee, we have heard today some comments about why the committee should not memorialize the Constitution to the United States Congress. We are not asking you to memorialize this bill. we are asking you to pass this bill, as other senators have done in Virginia over the many years in the past. You may notice that the state of Nevada has recently passed the Equal Rights Amendment, and in order for the amendment to pass this so that it becomes a part of the Constitution, we only need 2 more states for a total of 38 to make this amendment a part of the United States Constitution, and thereby to include all citizens, regardless of gender, the full protections of the Constitution. When you mentioned that the archivist had ruled that the deadline is standing, we need to point out that the archivist only gave one opinion. That opinion is not a legal binding opinion. It did not come from Congress. We know now from other legal opinions that the deadline was attached to the amendment illegally with the express purpose of defeating it. But we now show that if enough states ratify the Equal Rights Amendment, which is only a purely justifiable amendment, giving all of us equality of rights under the Constitution, whether we're a woman walking into the court, a girl, a man, a boy, we would all get equal treatment. Right now, we do not get that equal treatment. Therefore, we need to tell you that the deadline does not preclude the Senate of Virginia from ratifying the amendment such that it can be passed along if we can get the House to ratify, which is unlikely because they are devotedly against the cause of women and equality in the United States. So we ask you to join the other states that have ratified and allow Virginia to move forward in terms of justice for all Virginians and all citizens. We ask you this today because we're hopeful, we're not begging, but we're so hopeful that you will look into your consciences and do the right thing.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Howell,
I'd like to move that Senate Joint Resolution 4 be reported.
before we get to that, because we have taken comments for, I think we need to give the opportunity for comments against. And then we are not going to change the procedures of the Senate with a recorded vote on SJs because we do not do that. But we are going to have a show of hands on this particular bill to make sure that the members of the audience and those, because we do stream these, others can see that show of hands.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'm an attorney.
Hold on. We're going to, if we cannot do this in an orderly direction, if we cannot have one person talk at a time, then we're going to have to empty the room. That's not what we want to do. That is not a good decision, but we have to be able to talk through this, and we are going to have a show of hands at the end on Senator Howell's motion. Does everybody understand? Okay. Senator Howell.
So, I'm sorry, we will have a show of hands?
Yes,
Okay.
Senator, we
Now,
will.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
parliamentary inquiry.
Yes, Senator Howell.
I believe that if 20% of the members ask for a recorded vote on a joint resolution, that we can get one, but that's a parliamentary inquiry.
It is, Senator Howell, on amendments to bills, you are correct that if there's a voice vote, that there's 20%. But on resolutions, we don't record votes on resolutions. As the senator is well aware, we take up hundreds of these throughout the year, and we don't record those votes. But because, Senator Howell, you have requested, we are going to have, and you and Senator Saslaw both requested, we are going to have a show of hands of the members. So, Senator Saslaw.
It seems to me that in the past, when we've had an SJR concerning constitutional amendments, and essentially this one, because we haven't had a lot before us, it seems to me that because it was a constitutional amendment, that we did have a recorded vote in
Senator
committee.
Saslow, we're going to have a show of hands because you and Senator Howell requested that. And Senator, that's what we're going to do. So everybody will be able to see. But ma'am, because there are other people that want to talk, we're going to put 3 minutes. I'm not going to count the prior speaker against that. You have 3 minutes, but it is a hard stop. At 3 minutes, we will stop the comments, and then those against will have 3 minutes to record, to respond, and then we will have a vote. So,
Okay.
hold on.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
want you to, can you reset the clock, Hobie? So, yes, all those in favor, please line up for your 3 minutes. Yes, ma'am. Tell us who you are.
My name is Julia Tanner. Mr. Chairman and honorable senators, thank you so much for your time, but I will be quick because there are others behind me. My name is Julia Tanner, and I have 2 daughters. We are residents of Virginia, and I am here to explain to you that this legislation is not a nullity. I also have 2 letters to the editor from citizens in your district, which I would be happy to submit for the record, as well as a resolution from the county of Fairfax, which is by population the largest county in the state, asking you to please ratify the ERA with SJ4.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
And you can submit those letters and we'll pass them out.
I will do that. Thank you so much. So regarding the archivist letter and the argument that we've heard, and I am an attorney, and it is simply an argument. It is not actually a it is not a proven fact, as the Attorney General's office has said. At the moment, there is no certainty on this fact at best case. And at worst case, for those who do not agree with this amendment, we are correct. As Professor Wendy Murphy, who's an expert in women and the law at the New England School of Law, has said, the Supreme Court never actually ruled on this issue. And I actually read this case, and I've read it several times. It's based on a 1-page memorandum, and it is like a 2-sentence dismissal based on a 1-page memorandum. You could go read it right now. National Organization of Women versus Idaho. The Supreme Court never said this is a nullity, and they never said states cannot ratify. They never said Congress cannot move the deadline. And in fact, in various cases, Congress has moved a deadline. States have ratified after deadlines. Professor Murphy emphasizes, therefore, it is not the legislature's role to determine unsettled constitutional questions. It is the legislature's job to pass laws and let the courts deal with the constitutional issues. And the case law bears that out. I would love to meet with you afterwards if this does not pass, but I urge you to reconsider your positions. Please, for the women of this Commonwealth, for women sitting on this committee, for women, the 96% of Americans who favor passing the ERA, and for all of the many constituents who do believe that this is what you all should do, we do ask you to please ratify the ERA. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. One of the questions in this debate is, does the Constitution already cover sex discrimination? And the question, as answered by Supreme Court Justice Scalia, the question is not whether the Constitution requires discrimination based on sex, but rather if it prohibits it. And it doesn't. So in essence, what he says, if you want equity under the Constitution, go out and get an amendment. And that's what these men, and that's what these women, and that's what these children are here for today. I find it very hard to understand why you don't want your name on historical legislation. This will put Virginia on the forefront of equal rights, which will result in a better economy, companies coming to Virginia. I tell you what, these men, these women, these children, if it's not passed this year, if it's not furthered for debate, they'll be back next year. And if it's not done next year, they'll be back the year after. And they'll be looking at different faces on this panel, people that will pass it. I have to tell you, I have 3 daughters,
You've
6
used up
granddaughters.
all the time for the people behind you. So those who are standing up, if you would please come forward and tell us your name, and I assume you're supportive of the position.
I'm very supportive of the position.
Thank
on
you.
behalf of my 3 daughters, 6 granddaughters. I'm here to tell you they're not the weaker sex. but they
Thank you.
should be the
Thank you.
equals.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Please tell us your name.
My name
and
is
that-
Eileen Davis, and I just want to speak briefly about the
Ma'am.
abortion issue. I send you all a letter, and I know that that's the
Ma'am,
elephant in the room.
we've-
I understand, Mr.
we-
McDougall,
ma'am,
please. I've
we're-
tried to meet with you since January, and I was told that I would have.
Ma'am, ma'am,
And I would have public opportunity to speak with you in committee, so I am going to take that, and I will be brief. Just allow me.
turn it back on.
What I would like to say to you is that the elephant in the room is that, and I know the opposition is saying that this is a secret abortion bill. As a nurse who has worked in a church-sponsored clinic, I take extreme offense to that statement because it absolutely is not true. Excuse me? I'm going to quote. Roe v. Wade was decided on the constitutional right to privacy, and there is nothing in the statement, equality of rights under the law should not be denied or abridged by the United States or any other state on account of sex. It speaks to pregnancy, uteruses, etc. The legislative history concludes that abortion is not a sex equality issue. Thomas Emerson of Yale Law Review concluded that abortion is a unique issue for women and hence does not raise any questions of equal protection and is not a sex equality issue. In lawyer speak, this is the obvious. Men cannot get pregnant. Now, as a nurse who worked as a birth educator nurse with decades of experience, I want to tell you a ratified equal rights amendment would actually reduce abortions. Why? Because as a health professional, I can tell you each and every time, in the many, many times I've ever told a woman she was pregnant, if this wasn't received as happy news, the first words uttered is always some variation of, I don't know how I'm going to afford this, I can't afford another child, I cannot lose my job. Over decades, this narrative has never wavered. I can't stress enough the correlation I have seen between a woman's economic and job security and her decision whether to continue an unplanned pregnancy. If you really want to support women and their unplanned pregnancies, if you really want to reduce abortions, empower women with a solid foundation of constitutionally guaranteed gender equality law, which would add strict scrutiny to our Constitution and strict scrutiny to economic equality, equal pay, and opportunity, and provide economic job security to women pregnant or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, if you would please tell us your name and your support of the issue, the allocated time has expired.
I understand. My name is Katie Hornung, and as a fourth-generation Republican, I support Republicans taking leadership on this important issue and moving it forward to the floor.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Shamali Houth. I'm from Reston, Virginia, and I'm a 10-year veteran of the Air Force, serving both enlisted and officer. My husband's retired military. Virginia is home to a lot of veterans. We support the ratification of the ERA. It's very important.
Ma'am, just please tell us your name and your position. We've passed the time for advocacy. So
15% of the U.S. military and 20% of U.S. Air Force are women. We serve and protect the Constitution and defend the United States, but we are not protected by that same Constitution.
Valerie Philgrove from the League of Women Voters of Virginia. We do support the Equal Rights Amendment. I will just say one little thing. My grandson, who's 11 years old, puts it in a very concise way. He says, women do not have a contract with the Constitution.
thank you. We've, because we can't seem, we've gone over the time frame, everybody who's stood up now, so we're going to have individuals who are opposed to the amendment give the opportunity to speak now. So thank you for coming. We really do appreciate that. And we know that you are not, you're in favor of the resolution passing, correct?
Correct.
Thank you very much for being here.
So are the 20 senators who have already signed on as patrons.
Yes, thank you. And we're going to have a raise of hands. So those individuals who are not in favor of the amendment, if you will please come forward to speak, if anybody so chooses to come forward.
I think it's important to know that the General Federation of Women Clubs has had a resolution supporting the Equal Rights Amendment for decades. As my name is Frida Cathcart, as a mother of 4 sons who was their soccer coach, I ask you to please pass the ball, please pass this bill. Thank you.
My name's Wendy Martin. I live in Richmond, Virginia. I'm a business owner. This is ridiculous what's happening, and it's going to be on the national news. We deserve a vote, and we've had it. Seriously. Please
Thank
give
you
us
for
a
being
vote.
here. So, does anyone who wishes to speak against the amendment, please come forward. Okay, with that, Senator Howe has moved. She had moved, and it was seconded that there be a vote. So the vote is on passage of SJR 4. So all in favor of that, please signify by raising your hand. 5. So all 5. All in favor. All in favor of not passing the bill, please raise your hand. The motion fails. The motion fails.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Carrico.
Mr. Chairman, we operate these meetings on decorum, and I chair a committee, and this is not the way we operate. I hope that everyone in here would have the respect of what the meetings are for. We've let you have to say your piece, and I think it's time that we move on.
We're just getting started. This is obstruction.
Thank you, Senator Carrico. Senator Locke. Senator Locke, your bill is SJ 19 on the Joint Subcommittee for Coastal Flooding Report. On page 7 is the next one up on the list. Senator Locke.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Mr. Chairman, SJ 19,
Senator Locke.
SJ 19 is requesting continuing the joint subcommittee on coastal flooding. It has been in place for 4 years, and it merely is asking to continue with this joint.
To the 2019 term.
Yes.
So Senator Locke moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SJR continuing the joint subcommittee on coastal flooding be reported. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. That motion is agreed to. The next is Senator Peterson here. SB 15, Senator Peterson, did I get a message from your office that you did not want to?
Is that
The Virginia Israeli, yes, that you did not want to go. Senator Sasslaw moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SB 15 be stricken at the request of the patron. That is I hope that's a bill. Since it's a SB, we must have a recorded vote. All in favor of striking the bill, signify.
You have to vote on this.
Close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. That bill is stricken. Did you have another?
I had the other one with Senate Bill 12. I don't know if it's in this committee or not. It was the revolving door.
Yes, we're going to get to that in a short bit.
All right.
All right, Senator Chase, Senator Bill 20.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Senate Bill 20. You all passed out of this committee and out of the Senate last year the Red Tape Reduction Commission, which created a review of regulatory requirements. I'd like to first offer a substitute motion.
Yes. Senator Hanger moves, Senator Newman seconds. Senate Bill, the substitute to Senate Bill 20. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. 1-2 to nothing. The substitute is before us. Senator Chase.
Okay, so this legislation, as I mentioned earlier, passed in a different form out of the Senate last year. This is an actual, I think, an improved bill that actually has the support, and it's endorsed by the governor. The legislation is identical to House Bill 883, which was patroned by Delegate Weber. We've taken the commission, the criticism that we got from this last year was that it was creating a bureaucracy to handle the bureaucracy, so we've taken that out. We've made this simply a pilot program, which will be headed up by the Secretary of Finance. The program is going to focus on two departments: the Department of Professional and Occupational Licensing and the Department of Criminal Justice Services. And from those two committees, that's actually like 40% of most of the regulatory requirements. So it's one of the main issues that we hear in our district from small business owners. There's overregulation and red tape. And this is designed to move that in. And I appreciate having the support of the governor on this issue, and I'd like to have yours.
Senator Chase, this is part of the initiative that the Senate Republicans and the House Republicans and Governor Northam are moving forward to reduce red tape. All right, Senate Bill 20 is before you. Any members have any questions? Any members of the audience have any questions to speak for or against? Senator Hanger.
Does it go to finance?
Motion is.
Mr. Chairman, does this go to finance because it has an impact?
I think.
There's a budget amendment in, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Hanger.
Do you have a budget amendment in?
Yes, 50.
With this, does the substitute, does it still have this, some of these costs? We will have to have the clause in, even if it is included, so.
Okay.
So if you withdraw the motion to report, Senator Wagner moves, Senator Hanger seconds, that we add the contingency clause. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Senator Hanger, with that, do you feel comfortable with it moving on to the floor instead of going to finance on Monday?
Did you move the clause? Is that what you?
Yes, clause is on.
Clause is on. Yes, it can go straight to the floor.
The motion is that Senate Bill 20 as amended, in the nature of substitute, as amended with the clause, be reported. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, open on your board. SB. All members voted. Any members desire to change their vote? Close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. That is reported.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
All right, Senator Favola, Senate Bill 80.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Ed and Health Committee saw this bill last year, and they referred it to the Joint Commission on K through 12 School Reform. And actually, that committee, there's a joint committee, and they recommended that it be submitted as a bill unanimously. So what the bill does is it establishes a school health advisory board in the executive branch. There'd be one senator and one delegate, 10 non-legislative members, and the mission would be to review legislation that would require our public schools to administer health-related services, and also to recommend what training might be necessary if, in fact, it is a wise thing to have our schools administer health-related services. I don't know if you recall, but a few years ago, the General Assembly saw a large number of bills requiring school systems to administer all kinds of things. I know the EpiPen was just one of the bills, but we had a lot of others. So there was some concern among educators that perhaps we're asking our school systems to do too much, that we're burdening the schools when in fact their primary mission, as you know, is to educate our children. So this committee was established to sort of help the General Assembly find that balance.
Okay.
And I respectfully ask that you.
Thank you, Senator Favola. Senator Newman.
Well, this was one of the recommendations. I know it's got the finances on it, so clearly we would have to put the clause on it. I'm in favor of everything in this. I'm a little bit concerned about them advising us, but I think that we if we had a future public education, we could advise them or we could advise this body. But at the very least, I think it needs to go to finance, and we probably up there need to put the clause on it because it does have a fiscal impact.
Is that a motion to report and re-refer to Committee on Finance?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to comment on that. We were told by the administration that there would not be a fiscal impact. I don't know if the budget and program people decided otherwise, because this committee would only meet as needed.
We have 17 to 27,000 on our list.
Well,
So
that must have been a new
It's got to go to
development.
Finance, which is going to meet
Okay.
on Monday, so they are having another meeting, so you will have the opportunity to talk with Finance staff and see if they have a different number. But it showed up on my list that's going to them. if
Okay,
it
thank
reports.
you.
So Senator Newman moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SB 80 be reported and re-referred to the Committee on Finance. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. That's agreed to. On the board. Get Newman. Wagner. Get Steve. All right, close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. That's reported and re-referred to Committee on Finance. Senator Stanley, SB 171.
Oh, I have one
No,
other.
we're going in the block of
number?
how they
Fine.
are. We'll come back to you.
Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 171.
Senator Stanley, do you have some technical amendments
Yes.
to get this in the correct order? Senator Stanley moves, Senator Wagner seconds that the technical amendments be agreed to, and those are striking joint rules, inserting Department of Health, and striking 3, inserting 4.
That's
All in
correct.
favor of those, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, like sign. So those technical amendments are agreed to, and it's before us. Senator Stanley, I think this is in good shape if you want to tell us briefly what it does.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, 1951, Henrietta Lacks, who lived in and now rests eternally in Halifax County, lost her life to cancer, but she gifted the United States with a unique legacy called the HeLa cells. Cancer research, these are replicating cells which are used in cancer research and have transformed the speed and success of current cancer treatments. Many of the same factors that affected the course of her life and legacy prevail today, including the greater incidence of cancer in the Southern Virginia region where I represent. There's a lack of economic opportunity, as you've heard before from me, that drove Henrietta Lacks to leave Halifax, Virginia, and a lack of significant and lasting cancer treatments, which caused her to go to Johns Hopkins. Henrietta Lacks is a hero of America, a great African-American woman, and what this does is establishes a joint commission for a public-private partnership for the creation and construction of the Henrietta Lacks Life Sciences Center, which will develop cancer research and hopefully find the cure of cancer. We are hoping that what we're going to do in that commission is bring together both the Lacks family, who approves of this, and also local leaders and leaders from Richmond for the development and execution of the construction of the Henrietta Lacks Life Sciences Center. So we believe this is not only important economically for Southside Virginia, but also important in terms of cancer research in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and even more important to remember the great Virginian Henrietta Lacks as we move forward and find a cure for cancer that claims so many lives of our loved ones, including my father. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'd move to report, sir.
Motion is that the bill SB 171 as amended be reported. Senator Hanger seconds. Open the roll. All in favor, please signify by voting. Close the roll, please.
Ayes 14, no zero.
That bill is reported. Senator Edwards, SB 991. Senator Edwards.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Senate Bill 991 adds one member to the statewide broadband advisory board. There is a statewide, in the executive branch, a statewide broadband advisory council, and the membership is 14. This would add a 15th, and the 15th person would be a representative of the local broadband authorities. I count 13 local broadband authorities, either now in existence or in the process being set up.
Senator Edwards, right now, the governor has the ability to appoint an individual to this board that is from a municipal broadband authority. Is that correct?
My understanding, not now, that there are 14 members. This would
Senator Edwards.
add a person to it who is a member of a municipal broadband authority.
Senator Edwards, but the governor's appointment authority, even though it's not specified, somebody must be a municipal broadband authority member. The governor could take one of their selections and select somebody from a municipal broadband authority.
That's possible, but this would ensure that the local municipal broadband authorities are represented, and their experience and their knowledge would be very helpful to be on the board. So it would expand it from 14 to 15. It's no real fiscal impact. Rob Catron here from Roanoke is here to speak on behalf of it.
If you could speak briefly, Mr. Catron.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
So were y'all unsuccessful in getting the governor to appoint somebody?
That's not it at all, Mr. Chairman. Right now, there's, as you can see from the legislation, there's members from, a member from VACO, a member from VML, but they're there to represent VACO and VML interests, not to represent municipal broadband authorities' interests. So the General Assembly created the ability for localities to create municipal broadband authorities early in the last decade. Municipal broadband authorities have been formed across the state. They do have a different perspective on rural broadband and last mile access, and we think that our having the ability to have a seat at the table with the Broadband Advisory Council will be helpful to their work, advising the governor and the General Assembly on broadband issues.
Senator Hanger. Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would note that we do need a vehicle to move forward because I believe the council expires this year if we don't have this legislation. Whether or not we expand it would be some fiscal impact, so I would move that we attach the clause.
Why don't we, Senator Hanger, why don't we just go ahead and send it to Finance? That'll give us the opportunity to have the determination or ask the question just to make sure about the membership number, and if the governor has the ability to appoint somebody in that in the meantime, since y'all are meeting on Monday.
Okay. We are going to meet Monday. Don't want to have too many bills, but we can look at this over the weekend. So I would move we refer to
motion is
report
that
and refer.
991 be reported and re-referred to Committee on Finance. All in favor of that motion, please signify by voting. I did. Close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, the next group is executive agency studies, and we've got about, we're going to move through these quickly. Senator Locke, SJ6, Department of Education study, teacher licensing. We heard almost everything in this group. We got a $300,000+ physical impact.
I know where it's going.
So you have lots of company going there with it, too. Apparently, these, we might be in the wrong business because all the contractors are going to be over $300,000 to conduct these studies. So do you want to, Senator Locke, how about we do these in a block, and why don't we carry all these over for the year because of the physical impact, because there's just no way we're going to fund these. I would make some comments in there, open shame, but it's not the best thing. So Senator Locke, yours is a study that has $300,000. Senator Peake, do I see you here? You have SJ 32 and SJ 33. Each of those are in a similar position. They will require over $300,000 in funding.
Which one are these two?
32 and 33.
Are those my road studies?
Yes, Route 29 and Route 60.
They're excellent studies.
And they're very expensive, excellent studies, too.
Is that from the VDOT? Yeah.
We got this is in the, we were just having a conversation with Senator Locke. These are in a group of studies that are all very expensive. And so what we're likely going to do, unless you have a pot of money that we don't know about yet, carry these over for the year to see if you can find the resources somewhere.
Is there going to be a study party for these?
No.
study, no study.
Senator Newman.
I can do that.
There is, the transportation committees have a joint group that meets throughout the year. And, we were kind of promised an eastern path if we didn't get the western path. They destroyed the western path and went right up the middle with congestion. It's horrible. I would hope that the subject matter through the chair could go to that, and I don't remember the name, but it's a joint group of House members and Senate members that look at some of these items. And I would hope that the subject matter would be considered by those people.
We can carry it over, and we can, Senator Carrico, you're chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee. You can request that these be placed on that agenda item to be looked at. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I will say,
Yes.
and there are rights of way that were purchased that are now being sold. And so we're going to be coming back next year with all those rights of ways. All those funds need to be put in to these transportation studies. So that's where that pot of money is going to come from, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Senator Marsden, SJ 65, Department of Corrections, solitary confinement. It's in the same physical structure because of requiring money. So we can, this one's a little less than 300,000, but it's close to 50. So
I was thinking this would be more of a desk audit by the existing folks in those two departments. I had spoken to them. I didn't know that there was any cost. Just really wanted a kind of a scorecard on where we are compared to other states and what have you. People had wanted me to introduce a bill that I thought was inappropriate to dictate things, but just kind of gathering the information, where we are, what we're doing.
The number they gave us was $44,778.17.
Yeah,
so it's we can either carry it over and you can continue talking to them, or you can send it to finance to be PBI'd. Which is your preference?
I think I'll take the former.
Okay,
let me
I think that's a
work
good
with
choice.
them. I think we can
That's
do
a good-
something here that won't cost a lot of money and just give us a scorecard on where we are on this issue in the Commonwealth. We've made a lot of progress.
Okay. Senator McPike, SJ 48.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Can
members of the
you,
committee.
this says you have some amendments. Is there any fiscal impact on yours?
No.
Okay. Well,
Quick line amendments.
well, hold on. If there's no fiscal impact, Senator Hanger is going to move that SJ 6, SJ 32, SJ 33, and SJ 65 be carried over for the year because of fiscal impact. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign, and that's agreed to. Senator McPike, SJ 48. Senator Hanger moves. Senator Ruff seconds the amendments to SJ 48. All in favor of those amendments, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. Senator McPike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senate Joint Resolution 48 is an effort to focus on school-based health centers. This resolution asks DMAS and Department of Education to look at the feasibility of implementing areas where we can start to leverage some of the dollars. As you know, and those who are on finance know, that we spend billions of dollars on education as well as on health care, and where we have Medicaid-eligible kids in schools, and specifically some of the Title I schools, how we can start to leverage those dollars. And so there's some important questions I think we need to figure out how to bring the various partners to the table, whether it be some of the folks from the Virginia Health Alliances, some of our managed care organizations, and others who participate in various ways, but we don't yet connect the dot. I know all of us have struggled with how do we get additional school nurses and other folks in our schools. So this is a way to figure out how we can connect some of our funding streams in a more appropriate and focused fashion, Mr.
So
Chairman.
anybody from DMAS here? Anybody from DMAS? I guess they're not opposed to it. So, Senator Hanger?
Mr. Chairman, I believe this is worthwhile, and I move that we report it.
Motion is that SJ 48 be reported. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and that is agreed to. All right, Senator Deeds, SJ 50.
Okay, this SJ 50, I think there's some technical amendments that the Bureau of Insurance has requested.
All right, if anybody's from the SEC here, if you could get you queued up, because we're going to ask you a question. Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds the technical amendments to SJ 50. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Those amendments are before us.
With the trouble we had with the exchange and the exchange at the federal level, what you saw in Charlottesville and many regions of around Virginia is you had one insurer left to provide service. Now, the people that qualify for subsidies, and there's no problem, but people that are doing pretty well. And Charlottesville saw their premiums go from like, for a family of four, from $17,000 to $41,000 a year.
Senator Dietz, this is the companion to the bill that we heard the other day.
Absolutely. The whole idea is to get the State Corporation Commission to look at the way they review the rates.
And this is a companion to what Senator Donovan presented to Finance yesterday. And
It is.
some of the stories that your constituents told us were horrific. And unfortunately, I've received similar stories from mine constituents. Anybody from the Corporation Commission here?
Mr. Chairman, I would make them.
So, come on down. Can you have the capacity, my notes indicate that y'all have the capacity with your existing resources to handle this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and Senator Deeds was nice enough to give us some technical amendments that just cleaned it up a little bit, but we absolutely can do it.
Okay, thank you. Senator Reeves moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SJ 50 be reported as amended. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and that is reported.
Mr. Chairman?
Senator Hanger.
I would just observe, and for the benefit of the State Corporation Commission representative, this is a big job, so it shouldn't be taken lightly. I mean, there's a significant issue in terms of our structure in our healthcare delivery system for our oversight with the Bureau of Insurance and with the State Health Commissioner's Office. So we need to take a good look at it.
Okay. Senator Serval. You used up all your time on your other bills.
Yeah,
so
I didn't do it.
Senator Hanger's going to move. Senator Ruff is going to move second to PBI. So this is something that OES can do without. I do have some concerns about us directing the Office of the Executive Secretary to do something because they're a separate branch of government. So certainly, I think that they can look at it, but I don't know that I feel comfortable with this body moving forward a resolution directing them to look at it. So
I showed it to them; they were okay with it. But
what we're going to do is we'll PBI it and send them a letter asking them to report back to us.
Okay, that's fine.
Senator Openshaw moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SJ 58 be PBI'd, and we'll send a letter to the Executive Secretary. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign, and that is PBI'd. SJ 74, Senator Eben.
Okay. Oh, this is my, did you say 74 or 30?
74.
Oh, good, okay. I'm a member of the
fact
Committee on
that you
School-
have that many that end in 4 concerns me.
That I'm misreading it?
No, that you have that many bills. So.
No. I do not have a big binder, little binder. The common application, not whatever. Anyway, I know enough to prune out the bills that have lost out of my notebook. So, thank you, Scott. So, fewer pages. So, SJ 74 has to do with a common application for use for state and federal services administered by the Commonwealth. And this came to me in a governance subcommittee of the Committee on School Readiness. I learned that the VPI and the Federal Head Start have different forms. And when I was talking to Secretary Hazel and some other folks who are familiar with this, they told me about all the different applications that can be separate. Among them can be TANF, SNAP, Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants in Children, Family Access, FAMIS, et cetera. So what I came up with was a resolution that does not force anything, but it encourages the administration to figure this out or start figuring it out and think about how it could be implemented, a common application. And I just want to give you an example. There's a 3-year-old with developmental disabilities, hearing loss and vision challenges from a working family with low income. that child could conceivably qualify for programs administered.
I think we get the concept, so.
Okay, and I've got an endorsement letter from Secretary Hazel about
Okay,
how much
Mr.
money
Chairman.
is off.
Question, hold on one second for Senator Hanger, and then we'll get to Senator Reeves, is my notes indicate they're not sure how much this is going to cost, so would this need to go to finance? I don't want to get in trouble with our co-directors.
Well, I was just trying to figure the impact of this. Actually, you know, we're working, Senator Evans, as you and I have talked about the creation of the Chief Data Officer. It all begins with information flowing into the system. So this is actually a piece of that somehow. So, you know, perhaps should advance. We're not showing any particular fiscal impact here.
Yeah, this doesn't require things to be done. It requires it to start to be discussed. And if there is a chief data officer, I would imagine they would be heavily involved. It's kind of a loose resolution in that it doesn't say that you will implement this by a certain year. It says to the administration, start to figure this out, and you have our encouragement to go ahead when we have the funds. The way I saw it was if you're developing a new software for one of these agencies doing an online application, that they would talk to the other agencies, or that the new chief data officer would be part of that. And if,
Senator Reeves.
Mr. Chairman, both you and Senator Hanger serve on the same committee, my committee, on rehab, and this falls into what Senator Hanger had been talking about this access to data across the spectrum. And as chairman of that committee, it's an encouragement letter, and at the appropriate time, I'd make a motion.
So, Senator Reeves.
I'd make the motion that we pass the resolution. While it doesn't have the teeth that maybe I think Senator Eben would like, I think it folds gently into what Senator Hanger, Senator Eben, Senator Donovan, and Barker all work together to make sausage in our committee. So I'd make that
Motion is that SJ 74 has been made that it be reported. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. And Senator Hanger, you're on the hook if that needed to go to finance. All right. Senator.
take it the rest later?
Yeah, we're taking these by category,
Okay,
so we're moving on to another category. These are the conflicts of interest categories. Senator McClellan. SB 289. This specifies that the Ethics Council shall not redact the public business name from a filing.
Yes. So when we passed the ethics law, part of what we intended to do was, at least preserve the transparency we had. An issue has arisen that when we passed an amendment requiring the redaction of personal identifying information, what that has led to is unclarity for the council on whether that includes business names. When you identify businesses that you own or businesses you're employed by, some of those businesses may be named after a person, like Dave Mills LLC, or have an address. And so those are being redacted, and this would give clarity that if it's the business name, it shouldn't be redacted.
Okay. Any member have any questions? Senator Howell, you're our resident expert.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have a question, but I think this is part of the problem with the bill in the first place, and why we just approved a 2-year study to look into how better to handle this.
All right. You make a motion to report or not?
Mr. Chairman, I think it should be part of the study.
Okay.
And I'm fine with that.
Okay. So we'll, so Hobie, can we have a vote to roll this into the study we already passed out? Can we go ahead and do that?
Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay. So what I think we need to do then is carry this over and send a letter procedurally. Is that your motion, Senator
That's
Howell?
my motion.
Okay. Motion is that at Senate Bill 289 be carried over and the concept be sent by letter to the study that we've already approved. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That's agreed to. Thank you. Oh, we got to vote on that. All right, close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. The next, Senator Howell, Senator Norman's not with us right now, so 298 is the conflicts advisory deadline extension, and I think this was a recommendation of your committee, and Mr. Poded is here speak to it, but I think it looks like it's in good shape unless there's something that anybody needs to add.
Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, Stuart Petto, Ethics Council. You're correct, Mr. Chairman. This was a unanimous recommendation of the Ethics Council.
All right. Senator Howell moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SB 298 be reported on your board.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. Thank you. All right. It looks like we have a number of bills now. Senator Black, 124, Senator Favola, 301, Peak 345, Peak 763, Peak 764, and then Senator Black, 816, that all deal with adding people under certain circumstances related to school board. So, and creates an exemption. So why don't you just tell us what your exemption does very quickly, Senator Black?
Thank you. This is on Senate Bill 124.
Yes, yours exempts Planning District 8. I think Senator Favola exempts Planning District 8. Senator Peak exempts all the planning districts. And then he has another one that does just Planning District 14. And one that's Cumberland County. So we either, I think the committee needs to make a decision. It seems more likely if as opposed to doing 3 or 4 of these, we ought to just put them into the Senator Peak's broader 345 that exempt them all.
There are already 6 of them, so this is just adding the group of them.
6 districts and 38 county cities already have.
So Senator Peak, so we could roll your 764 into 345, and that takes care of.
We do 345. We can just.
Okay. Senator Favola, Senator Black, do y'all have any objection to us moving one vehicle forward with all the planning districts?
No, that would be a better policy.
Okay. Mr. Jordan, I see you jumped up quickly behind to give support. Any member have any question about that strategy? All right. So Senator Hanger is going to move that we roll Senate Bill 764, 763, 301, and 124 into Senate Bill 345 and list all those patrons as chief co-patrons. This motion has been made, probably second. That requires a vote, correct, to roll all those together, Hobie? Because they're all Senate bills? Yes, so vote on your board. Close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. So those bills have been rolled together into the broader bill, creating one exemption. So instead of us doing the Christmas tree, we'll have it done one time. Now the motion, Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds, that we recommend reporting with all the rolled-in bills and chief co-patron 345 in the nature of substitute. So please vote on your board. Close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. All right. Thank you for that. All right, Senator Black, you have 816, which is a little bit different.
Yes, sir, I do. 816 was submitted at the request of Loudoun County School Board. The current law is a little bit unclear. Basically deals with situations where an individual is eligible to have a personal interest in something before the board, even though they're a member of local government or school division.
Senator Black, I'm going to, only because we have about 20 minutes to get through the rest of this calendar, because we had a little time hiccup there. When we're looking at this, the House did not act favorably upon a similar measure, but this one says, right now the current law says that you have to disclose that conflict at each meeting. This would say you have to disclose at the first meeting and then at some point thereafter. So that's the...
Mr. Chairman, actually the bill, the existing law doesn't say at each meeting. It's ambiguous, and that is the problem. What this bill says is that it would have to be announced at the first meeting, and then at least at one subsequent meeting.
Okay.
So it just provides some clarity to it. That's all that it does.
All right, so members have that, my reading is a little bit different, that the current law requires it be disclosed at every meeting. So I think it's, but I know Senator back, Mr. Jordan, I see you standing up. Did you want to speak in for or against the bill?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Ron Jordan, representing Loudoun County Public Schools. I think the school board attorney's interpretation is pretty much the same as yours. And the intent here was you declare, since you've already filed your paper disclosure, you declare at the beginning of the, and this is primarily during the budget deliberation process. Those of you who's worked in local government know it goes on forever. You declare at the beginning of the process, and at some point thereafter, logically, it would be before you vote.
Okay. So members have heard the bill. Any further discussion? Anybody else in the audience wish to opine? All right, bill's before us.
Move to report.
Mr. Chairman?
Senator Howell.
I'm slowly waking up, but I think as a member of the commission, I should say the commission really disliked this idea.
Okay. All right. Well, Senator Black, what would you think, since there's a difference of an opinion, if maybe we carried this over and sent this concept to that commission study group for them to look at that? Just came up with that after Senator Howell's comments.
That'd be fine, sir.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay. So Senator Howell moves, Senator Hanger seconds, that we carry over Senate Bill 816 for the year and send the concept to the Ethics Commission Study Group. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, actually, we got to vote because it's SB. Motion to carry over. Close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. That's carried over, and we'll send a letter to study group. Senator Lewis, you have 9:30.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
And this clarifies marine resources and the individuals that have to
Yes, sir.
report. And so everybody thought this is what the way it was, but they got into a little scrap and realized that the words didn't match up with the thoughts.
I think there was an attorney general's opinion that said maybe
Okay.
they're problematic. And Senator Hanger and I think had a bill last year that did the same thing for soil and water conservation boards.
Okay.
So it's the same concept. This is supported obviously by the Seafood Council, the Bay Foundation, and also the administration, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman. I can go a little longer if you'd like, or.
Everybody behind you in favor or against? Favor? 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 Everybody in favor? Anybody against? All right. Senator Hanger?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the bill be reported.
The motion is that Senate Bill 930 be reported. Please vote on your board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Ayes 14, no zero. Senator Hanger, we move on to the next section. I'm gonna do Senator DeStuff's bill, and then maybe if you can do mine, and I'm gonna present them here to move on. Senator DeStuff, 585. You're not here. Maybe you. Can, okay. What can you do the rest of mine on that?
Okay. Members, call your attention to Senator McDougal's bill. You want to begin with Senate Bill 406?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Senate Bill 406, Capitol Police, as they were going through, don't have the same ability to dispose of seized property as all other law enforcement agencies, and I think it was oversight in drafting, and this would clarify that oversight.
Okay.
And I'd move to report.
Anyone here to speak for?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Captain Steve Whitmer, the Division of Capitol Police, just here to answer any questions the members have.
Okay, thank you. Anyone here opposed? Any members have questions? Hearing none, there's a motion to report. It's been seconded. Clerk, open the roll. Cast your votes. Clerk, I better cast mine. Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. The bill is reported.
Mr.
Senator McDougal.
Chairman, if we could do Senate Bill, since Capitol Police are right here, 885 on page 18. This deals with the concurrent jurisdiction of the Capitol Police. They, right now, they had memorandums of understanding because of some challenges with other agencies. It's a question of whether that memorandum of understanding is valid or not, and this would clarify that they have concurrent jurisdiction in the Richmond metro area, and I'd move to report.
Motion properly supported. Do you want to comment on that one? Pretty clear, I believe. If they steal our iPad, the city police can help you get them? Is that what it is?
Mr. Chairman, members of the
Enrico?
committee, this would not involve surrounding counties.
Contiguous.
It would involve, it's strictly City of Richmond. We had agreements in place, and we were notified in November that those agreements could no longer be considered in effect because the city had never sent them to City Council. And we have jurisdiction at a number of properties away from the Capitol, and this is just to prevent a patchwork of jurisdiction where when an officer crosses an undrawn line, the officer loses police authority.
Okay, but you could extend on contiguous to the city of Richmond as well.
We presently have jurisdiction in the contiguous counties for the purpose of investigating thefts of property belonging to members of the General Assembly only.
Okay, and that's what this bill does, okay.
That's what we already had. This won't change the way we operate. It'll restore us back to the way we were before we lost those agreements.
Okay. All right, there's a motion properly supported. Are there further questions? Hearing none, please, clerk, open the roll. Cast your votes. Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 13, no zero.
Ayes 13, no zero. The bill is reported.
Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 407, this is also dealing with the Capitol Police. This, again, as they were going through looking at all these things, they came up with 3 items that needed to be addressed. This was the third, and that is the personnel information in the Capitol Police and the investigative and intelligence gathering information is not exempt from dissemination like every other law enforcement agency. And just when we drafted it, we missed the jurisdiction, we missed this piece, and we missed the disposal of property. But that happened before I was here and you were here, Senator Hanger. I think maybe, I think Senator Sasslaw might have been here. But so I'd move to report 407.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Anyone here speak for or against this particular clarifying measure to clean up the code? Hearing none, clerk, open the roll. Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. The bill, Senate Bill 407, is reported.
Senator Hanger, Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 489 seemed to have gotten all these. Capitol Square Preservation Council. This is a reorganization of their titles and authority, and this is to deal with some of the challenges of how we've encountered in doing different monuments. So this changes the name and makes clear the relationships that the council can engage in.
Okay. Any member have any question on this? Motion properly supported to report the bill. Hearing no further questions, clerk, open the roll. Cast your votes. Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. The bill is reported.
Mr. Chairman, that's Senate Bill 490. When we looked at legislation, everything refers to the General Assembly building, but since we are out of the General Assembly building for 5 years in the wilderness,
I'm counting on 3.5.
We might need to give you a hammer and send you over there to do some work.
Okay.
But this designates the Pocahontas building as the temporary General Assembly building to fix what some people have a concern about.
Okay. I think that is pretty clear. Any questions?
Move to report.
Motion properly supported to report the bill. That is Senate Bill 490. Hearing no further discussion, clerk, open the roll. Cast your votes. Clerk, close the roll.
Ayes 14, no zero.
Ayes 14, no zero. The bill is reported.
Mr. Chairman, I have one other on page 20. It's SJ 85.
SJ 185, okay.
And this is the Women's Monument Commission that former Senator Mary Margaret Whipple is chair of, and there is a substitute, and I would move the substitute.
Okay. Motion before us to adopt a substitute for Senate Joint Resolution 85. That's seconded by Senator Ruff. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Senator McDougall.
Mr. Chairman, there's been some, when this was originally put together, a lot of individuals were put on the commission or offices were put on the position, but their designees were not given. It was not written to deal with the challenges, so this cleans up all those problems of making sure who's appointed and their designee being appointed and what the commission's role is. And Senator Whipple and Madam Clerk have worked very closely on this and brought it to me as I had to introduce it by unanimous consent.
Okay. Anyone in the audience to speak to, for, or against, or clarification? Number of technical amendments and what have you. Is there a motion? Motion properly supported to report.
This is a voice vote.
Senate Joint Resolution number 85. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That resolution is reported.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator DeSteph, Chesapeake Senate Bill 585, Chesapeake Bay.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, this is going to be the most controversial, riveting bill you've heard all day. Everybody in the audience will be on the edge of their seat on this one. So what this one does, it's a cleanup bill for the Chesapeake Bay Restoration Committee, and it actually moves the date of the report from 1 December back to 15 November, so there's time to put it all together without ruining Thanksgivings.
Anybody have any opposition to this bill? All right, motion has been made. Senator Reeves moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SB 585 be reported. Open the roll.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Members of the committee, have a great day.
Thank you, Senator DeSteph. Ayes 14, no 0. And so the bill's reported. Senate Bill 793 on page 16, Senator Lucas's bill. There was a similar bill, and she sent a note requesting that that be stricken. So Senator Hanger moves, Senator Howell seconds that SB 793 be stricken. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Well, I guess we got to record that one's a bill.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. That is stricken. Senator Sturtevant, you have a substitute, correct? Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds. The substitute be before us to 796. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. That's before us. Senator Sturtevant.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee,
Okay, well, you want to come on up? Okay, so this is Senate Bill 892. We'll hear it and then we'll do that at the end when we get the motion. Senator Sturtevant.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the Senate has had a sexual harassment policy for some time, but we have not had training on sexual harassment prevention. And what this bill does is to require that the entire legislative branch, General Assembly members, and all staff members undergo sexual harassment training. I believe the substitute has it every calendar year. And so just like we undergo very important ethics training every couple of years, this would ensure that everyone in the legislative branch is undergoing this sort of important training because as we have all seen, especially over the last several months, sexual harassment is something that has pervaded many areas of our culture, very sadly. And this will be, I think, an opportunity for folks to not only know what behavior is unacceptable and wrong, which they should know anyway, but this is a way to keep it fresh in everyone's mind. But it is also a way and an opportunity for those who have been victims of it to know that they are empowered to speak out. And so I would hope it would be the pleasure of the committee to report this bill, and I'm happy to have Senator Wexler's bill.
Mr. Chairman, before he steps down, can I ask a question?
Yes, Senator Carrico.
Does this require each one of us to drive 5 hours to Richmond to do a class and drive 5 hours back home? And how long will that class be?
Mr. Chairman, Senator Carrico, it does not. This will be an online module that will be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that you can access it online from Grayson to take this online training. And from the materials that I have reviewed so far, it takes about 45 minutes, between 30 minutes to an hour to complete, about 45 minutes. And so this is something that you'll be able to complete everywhere and not have to make the trek to Richmond.
So Mr. Chairman, is that a cost to the state to?
Senator Carrico, we are looking at that. Our work with NCSL, they are putting together some resources. We do not yet know what that cost will be. We are hoping that it'll be minimal, if anything, but we have been working with other states across the country to try to develop a plan that would be, or develop a training module that would be similar for all states. So whether you're in Virginia legislature or California legislature, you might be receiving a similar training. But we're not, it'll probably be another 60 days before that's finished.
All right.
So Senator Wexton, we're trying to move along, but I want to give you a moment to say anything if you would like. Senator Wexton, that's very unlike you. But we are,
Mr. Chairman.
But we are very appreciative. So
does this need to go to finance or no?
No.
Okay. All right.
Senator Reeves, you want to move, Senator Hanger
moved,
second, that Senate Bill 892 be rolled into 796, and Senator Wexton be listed as the chief co-patron?
Yes.
So Senator Reeves moves, Senator Hanger seconds. I think we need a recorded vote on that. Yes. Saslaw.
That's 14-0.
That motion is agreed to. Now we would need a motion on the bill as a substitute with the rolled in. Motion is to report that bill in the nature substitute. All in favor of that, please vote on your device. Ayes 14, no 0. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Senator Hanger? Thank you, Senator Servant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senate Bill 819.
Senate Bill 819 is related to the MEI Commission. It's a clarification. In this instance, we want to change the statute so that when we file an annual report, we would not be required to disclose things which had previously not been disclosed to the public that may be a part of an incentive package to a prospective employer. Okay. I would hope that the bill would pass, and I would so move.
Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds that SB 819 be reported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor. This is a SB. Please vote on your machine.
Ayes 14-0.
Ayes 14-0. That's reported. Senator Norman's Bill 847. Senator Hanger, do you want to move this bill? And since there's a cost, we report and re-refer to finance, because Senator Norman will be able to defend his expenditure there.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we report and refer Senate Bill 847 to the Finance Committee.
Senate Bill 847 has been moved and seconded by Senator Ruff that it be reported and re-referred to the Committee on Finance. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Well, vote on your board. Let's do it. Ayes, close the roll. Ayes 13, no 0. All right, Senator Mason, 875, page 18. Senator Mason, this is, you had talked to me earlier, this is to, when the regulations were promulgated, there was an error in that promulgation. It has created a tremendous amount of problems in the independent or the assisted living facilities, and this fixes that issue, and we have to do it by statute. And I believe, is there an emergency clause?
To make it an emergency
clause.
And
So
under 10 patients in the assisted living.
okay. Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds that the amendment that puts on these enactment clause, making it an emergency, be agreed to. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. That is agreed to. And Senator Mason, this affects a small group of people, but it's impacted them February 1 very negatively.
Yes, sir, and enforced April 1, less than 20% of the facility.
So, all right, the bill as amended is before you. Motion has been made and properly seconded to report Senate Bill 875 as amended. All in favor of that motion, please vote on your board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That bill is reported 13-0. Senator Cosgrove, 924. Standards for the honor flags.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 924 would allow the person in charge of a particular building to determine when or not to fly the honor and remember flag, which is a recognized symbol of the Commonwealth. When we passed the resolution several years ago, basically it gave the state the ability to fly this flag, but we left out who could make that determination. And this bill, 924, would basically state that the person in charge of that building can make the determination when to or not to fly the flag. There is a couple of stipulations. The flag may not be larger than the United States ensign, and it can't be any taller than the United States flag as well.
Any member of the committee have any questions for Senator Cosgrove? Any member of the audience have anything? Hearing none, is there a motion? Motion is that Senate Bill 924 be reported. All in favor of that, please vote on the board as it's SB. Close the roll.
Ayes 13-0.
Ayes 13-0, that is reported. Thank you. Senator Wexton, you have SJ 36. And you have a substitute to that?
Actually, it's just a couple line amendments.
Okay. Is this the line amendments change the start date?
Change the start date to 2018.
So,
So it's
members of
line.
the committee, we're going to take up these designations or in the one objection rule. So Senator Howell moves, Senator Hanger seconds that the amendments to SJ 36 changing the start date be agreed to. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. That's the amendments agreed to. So this designates now the third week of March 2018 as the Women's Veterans Week in Virginia. Is that
That's
accurate?
correct.
Okay. I'm going to take them all and then we'll do a block, one vote.
Yes, I've got Senator Evans' fall prevention.
Oh, okay.
week, too,
So any amendments to that?
No, Mr. Chairman, no
This is
amendments.
Senate Bill on page 20 still. SJ 47, these are all SJs, designates the third week in September 2018 and going forward as Fall Prevention Awareness Week. All right. And then we have Senator Reeves on page 21. You have SJ 63 designating October 15th as General Thaddeus. Koshkuko Day. And then, Senator Reeves, will you move those three in a block? SJ 36 as amended, SJ 47, and SJ 63.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make that motion
So the motion is that the three of those be reported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, and those are reported. We got a note on page 21. Senator Lewis has asked that we strike SJ 55. Senator Hanger moves. Senator Reeves seconds. All in favor of that motion to strike SJ 55, please signify by saying aye. Aye. That motion is agreed to. Senator McClellan, SJ 38. This is commemorating the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and a recommendation of the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Commission, of which you are a chair, correct? So anything we need to amend, or it's in good shape?
This one's self-explanatory.
Any member have any questions? Motion has been made to report SJ 38. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. That is reported. Senator Dance, you have SJ 81 and SR 8. If Madam Clerk advised me correctly, SR 8 was a mistake, and we want to proceed on SJ 81, correct?
Yes, but I do want all those patrons that are listed on SJR to be moved over to.
Madam Clerk, can we roll the SR into the SJR? Huh? Okay. All right, so we're just taking, well, okay, so the motion is Senator Howell moves, Senator Hanger seconds that we strike Senate Resolution 8 at the request of the patron. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, and that motion is stricken, that SR 8 is stricken. SJ 81, Senator Dance, this is commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Supreme Court case Green versus County School Board of New Kent, and this is also which led to the desegregation of Virginia schools, and this is also a recommendation of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Commission.
Yes.
Is it need any amendments or in good shape?
Mr. Chairman, the only amendment is to get those other patrons onto that bill. Is that, and I'd make that amendment? Or do we need a?
Madam Clerk's got that covered.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
So motion is to report SJ 81, properly seconded. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. That motion is agreed to. Thank you, Senator Dance. Senator McPike, SJ 80. We didn't put this in the original block because World Hypnotism Day.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Seemed.
Indeed, Mr. Chairman. So this is a request of my constituent. He was the owner of a hypno consulting business in the city of Manassas, and I didn't know much about it, but actually this would have the Commonwealth join 22 countries, many other states recognizing January 4th as Hypnotism Day. And this is, hypnotists are actually fall under the Board of Counseling, and they provide services and actually help folks with PTSD or veterans, smoking cessation, and many other things that I didn't know before, after discussing with the constituent. They do some good work. In fact, 11 that in a quick Google search, Mr. Chairman, that are in your district and are helping some of your constituents as well. And I hope it'd be the pleasure of the committee, Mr. Chairman, in all seriousness, that if anybody has any doubts about going green, I'd open the rolls and vote green, Mr. Chairman. January 4th. What's that? Yes, Madam Clerk. You are now relaxing. Opening the rolls.
So, Senator McPike, we needed you here about an hour or two ago with that watch.
But in seriousness, they are doing some good work, and they do have some recognition, and I appreciate the pleasure.
Senator McPike, my wife tried to do this to me to help my golf game. It did not work. Maybe I need to consult one of those other 11 constituents I have that might have done a better job doing that. So it's before the committee.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Newman was not hypnotized by your presentation. Has made a motion to gently pass it by indefinitely.
I've got to increase my skills on the good senator from Lynchburg.
So motion to gently pass it by indefinitely to find how many constituents in Senator Newman's district can hypnotize him. Please signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign, and that is gently passed by. All right. Trying to move through here quickly. Senator McClellan, I think we missed your, when I was flipping through, I think I missed your SJ 42.
That's right. This is a resolution that would grant state recognition to the Wolf Creek Cherokee Tribe of Virginia. And in the interest of time, I'm just going to turn it over to Chief Terry Price, Chief of the tribe, to speak.
Chief Price, if you could come on down and.
Good afternoon. I'm here today to be recognized for the Wolf Creek Cherokee Tribe. I'm the chief of the tribe. We're just looking for respect from everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. If anybody wants to speak, come on. Come on down to the podium. Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Annette Price. To give state recognition to the Wolf Creek Cherokee Tribe of Virginia is just an extension of respect to these Cherokee people who have a vast history, as I'm sure you've seen here in the bill that we've presented. I'd also like to point out that next month, the National Association for Ethnic Studies will be coming here to Virginia to hold their 46th annual conference, and they have asked the Wolf Creek Cherokee Tribe of Virginia to be the Native American representatives for the Commonwealth of Virginia. I think it would be very important that we stand there representing Virginia's Native American communities and our Cherokee persons in our tribe as the 12th state recognized tribe. And if you vote on this and you support this bill, it comes to the state of Virginia at no cost to the state of Virginia. So your support will give respect to these people who bring so much to the culture, the history, and the ethnicity of Virginia in this time of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you.
Senator McClellan, I know we had a brief conversation about this. Madam Clerk handed me the list that we have a number of tribes, which, as you know, were recognized federally about 2 weeks ago now, signed by the president finally. There are a number of tribes, which I think Ms. Price just indicated, who are state recognized, who are not recognized federally. There, as only because I've been on the Council of Indians for a number of years, there is a very heartfelt thought process about the recognition process, and we've had some challenges in Virginia getting that right. So I know that there's, particularly as you go through this, I think the chief and Ms. Price both indicated very strongly that they've worked very hard as a tribe in the resolutions before the committee. Senator Hanger.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure, would there be opposition? Is there a difference of opinion with representatives of the Cherokee within Virginia?
No one has contacted me in opposition to this.
Well, I would just like to proudly acknowledge that I'm a descendant of the Cherokees of Cherokee, North Carolina, and it's something I'm very proud of. So I move that we report the resolution.
So Senator Hanger, my wife's grandfather was Cherokee.
Is that right?
So so the motion is, and
So
this
does that make you and Senator Hanger kin?
It probably does.
I think in some way we all are.
Now, if I could just get him to vote for my bills, that would be good. So the motion has been made to report SJ 42 because SJ is voice vote. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. That is reported. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I know we're moving down on time, but we have Senator Deeds quickly, SJ 52.
SJ 52, 50 years ago, and the long-term plans was a 4-lane of 220 between Interstates 81 and 64 through Botetourt into Allegheny. I put this in at the request of residents from the Allegheny Highlands who just who believe that their economic prosperity is tied to the 4-lane into that highway.
I very much understand, and it's just, and I probably should have had it in that other block, but it wasn't federal suggesting or international suggesting, but we just don't do this. But you have zealously advocated for your constituents, and we recognize that it is very important to them. Thank you, Senator Deeds, for your zealous advocacy. Senator Hanger moves. Senator Reeves seconds that we gently pass by SJ 52 after that zealous advocacy from Senator Deeds. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. All right, Senator Cosgrove. We're still on page 22 of your blue sheet. Senator Cosgrove and Senator Hanger, y'all have similar resolutions.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Senate General Resolution 11 basically is calling for Virginia to participate in the request the Congress to call Article 5 Convention of the States to deal with one issue and one issue only, and that's the balanced budget. Mr. Chairman, we haven't had a federal balanced budget since 2009. They have continuing resolutions. We have $20 trillion in debt. Neither you nor I, nor probably our children are going to bear the brunt, but I think my granddaughter will. If we don't have the federal government recognize there is a 10th Amendment and get their act together, because they just can't seem to get the job done in Washington. And I think it's time for the states to step up, assert their sovereign authority, and demand that they indeed have a balanced budget, just as we have to do each year. And that's it.
Senator Cosgrove, you and I have had these conversations over the years, and I think many of us on this dais and many of us not on this dais have had these conversations. The federal government has not done the job that Virginia has done. We have a balanced budget requirement here in Virginia. We live by that. It is very painful and challenging at times, but the reason some of the bills that are sent from this committee today and others in other places that have substantive merit have gone to the Finance Committee and not been funded is because we have to make tough choices, and they're not easy and they're not enjoyable. And I know Senator Obenshain and Senator Howell sit on the subcommittee with me. That each year we somewhat dread it because we have to make very difficult choices. And so the federal government has not lived up to their responsibility in balancing the budget like we have in Virginia. That said, this is clearly one that has a lot of different people have very strong feelings in multiple directions. And Senator Hanger, you have
right.
I don't know that Madam Clerk, are they exactly the same?
I think they're identical.
They're identical. Yeah. Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could speak to that briefly, this is one that I've continued to put in annually. Now, about 3 years ago, we actually got it out on the floor, as you may recall, when we had some support on the House side as well. I'd hoped to have a guest speaker, Senator Rand Paul, here this morning, but he was up all night discussing this very issue in Congress and making the point that why we actually need the states to take initiative under Article 5 Convention, because they are just incapable of dealing with the situation, and I think the states ultimately are going to have to take the lead. I recognize, Senator Cosgrove, I don't know where you want to go with this. Mine, I hadn't anticipated that we have enough wind behind us this year to get the thing through, quite frankly, but if you want to try a vote, we can do that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Well, I do think that after you speak, I do think we're going to give a couple minutes. There's some
That's fine.
people
I'll be
that
very brief.
came here to speak to this.
You'll notice today's headline in the papers are shutdown looms because of budget fights yet again. We just went through a couple of weeks ago another federal shutdown because of the budget. Every time we turn around, they're doing things in a budget that have nothing to do with the budget. And all this convention does is it requires the federal government to have a balanced budget, that we don't go and fix it ourselves. We don't do the